Greetings, my name is Brian Guthrie, aka Guthron. Continuing the research into combat trauma in the Civil War, this week's search uses JSTOR's database to find 3 articles that discuss the topic. No, that's JSTOR, short for Journal Storage. No, not some weird new Jedi School of the Old Republic game. Come to think of it, why doesn't that game exist? Anyway, JSTOR, journals, focus. First, we head on over to the library website and use the history research guide to find the database. Handy this. On JSTOR, we'll use these search terms: Civil War, US, and combat trauma. Pretty simple. Whoa, this nets us quite a lot of results. No, I mean a lot. That's pages, not articles. Lucky for us, the first 3 articles will do nicely. We'll start with the first one, which has quite a promising title: Soldiers, Psychiatrists, and Combat Trauma. Sounds riveting. The first thing worth noting is the name of the journal, Interdisciplinary History. This is very good to know because part of my dissertation thesis is the exploration of multidisciplinary studies on historiography. However, I digress. This is a 25-page review by John Talbot of a soldier's memoirs. Which memoirs? He tells you. Where? In a footnote, of course. See? The Complete Memoirs of George Shurston by Siegfried Sassoon. First thing to notice, it's about the Great War, now called World War I, but that doesn't mean it's not helpful. All throughout Talbot's review, he discusses combat trauma and links this soldier's experiences to others in previous wars. He makes several connections to the Civil War and the post-war era. Better, he gives some details of the trauma experiences to help make it clear that these men were indeed experiencing combat trauma. The important part Talbot discussed is individual features of these stories, which he calls reenactments. No, not those big events you always see in TV shows. Flashbacks. Involuntary ones. Talbot spends most of the review discussing the different parts of reenactments, highlighting the common threads. Regarding sources, I find his list exemplary in its diversity, which you can see in this example. Conducting research, brain study, psychoanalysis, and discussions on PTSD in the psychiatric world, and a discussion on history. More please. The second article explores a slightly different aspect, as the title indicates: The Great Exaggeration, Death and Civil War. That title was a little misleading, I won't lie. This article discusses how modern society, looking back, falls into a trap created by a statistical analysis that leads to false interpretations of the severity of the Civil War. That was a mouthful. Nicholas Marshall then highlights some examples in recent historiography and popular culture where statistics were used to create a stronger impact. He's got a point. I'm not forgetting this video anytime soon. That climbing wall of Russian casualties? Man. And that ticking clock at the end? Still gives me goosebumps. Ah, yes, digressing. Marshall goes on to detail some of the key differences between that era and the present day. For example, how much death they experienced just because of a disease and how much more prevalent death was among all ages. While this article doesn't discuss combat trauma in too much detail, it's useful for context in comparison with soldiers from other eras. The final article explores different groups of veterans, meaning from different wars, from a different angle, how the groups differ and interact and view each other. Barbara Gannon, author of They Call Themselves Veterans, Civil War and Spanish War Veterans, and the Complexities of Veteranhood, draws comparisons between the groups. She discusses how the groups function, treat each other, and support their members. Gannon brings up a very interesting point when she discusses how each veteran group remembered each other's wars as opposed to their own. Veterans from various conflicts often see each other differently. Just go to a VA hospital and listen to how they tell each other stories. Veterans of smaller conflicts sound like they're justifying their presence to those from older conflicts. Those from older conflicts share their stories to newer veterans in a tone that reminds one of a grandfather reminding a grandson how harder it was in the older experience. You know, no shoes, uphill, in the snow. Regarding sources, Gannon draws upon a variety of them, with the majority of them coming from veteran organization records. Returning to the topic, because that's what one does when concluding something like this, all 3 provide interesting insights into a study of combat trauma on Civil War soldiers. Talbot's provides more direct examples, while Marshall's allows for perspectives before the war, and Gannon some perspective after the war. Verdict is in, and this search yielded some positive results right off the bat. Now, it's time to start weeding through all of those other resources. This may take a bit.